begin now. It's already 5:32. Good evening, all the people who have joined. I warmly welcome on behalf of School of Inspirational Leadership. Quickly want to check if I'm audible, each one of you. If you can switch on your video, give me a thumbs up.
You're audible, sir. Good evening.
Fantastic. Uma sir, good evening. Good to see you again. Today I have an easy role. Yesterday I was the facilitator. Today I'm here to introduce Dr. Saini. Dr. Saini is one of the most affirmative HR voices that we have in our country. And primarily with his experience, I'm looking forward to learning from him today as a participant. While my role is of an anchor today to introduce him, but I think what I'm looking forward is to one, help us unlock how to get good people, how to keep good people, and how to grow them. Okay. With the amount of expertise that he has in setting up learning and organizational development practices, the movement that he has done in his career from engineering to getting interested in people, I think will add tremendous value. Without much ado, without taking away his time, I think I would want each one of you to just switch on the video for a minute. All of you, if you can switch on the video, all of you. Let me see each one of you. If you can switch on your video and assume that he's on stage right now. and I'll make a quick 15-second video. If you can warmly welcome all of you. Pawan Saini, over to you. Please serve. And I will come back again at around maybe 40-45 minutes from now, 6:15, 6:20, once he gives me a green that his session is about to get over. If there are any questions together we can answer, I will be more than happy to participate in that dialogue, facilitate that dialogue, and ensure that your questions are answered. Over to you, sir. Wish you all the best. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Seth, for that wonderful introduction, and truly a pleasure to be here this evening to address this wonderful audience, learned audience. And yeah, so the topic for today is around HR budgeting, which is not new to any one of us. You have been running businesses, you have been part of the business, and you have been doing HR budgeting because that is the one of the key financial element of any business, managing the workforce, and the financial elements are linked to the workforce. So it would be great if some of you can share what are you looking forward to in today's session. It would be lovely. Before I start, you can just unmute and share, or you can put it on the chat.
So I will say कि responsible आदमी मिल जाए या तो बन जाए, who takes their own responsibility of their designations or entire organizations.
Okay.
That's what I'm very
much. वो आदमी कैसे मिले is something you're looking forward to?
Correct. I mean, search करें या तो मतलब फिर कैसे develop करें. Okay. Anyway, it is okay.
Okay. Maybe you'll get उसका आंसर शायद आपको थोड़ा सा indirectly मिले, because आज हम लोग बजटिंग सेशन कर रहे हैं. तो सही आदमी मिलने के लिए हमको कैसे बजट करना है, that would be important. ताकि हमको रिक्रूट करना पड़े आदमी सही आदमी. तो we have that required fund at that point of time. उसमें कुछ कटौती ना करें, उस टाइप का आदमी ढूंढ रहे हैं. So that is one point we will definitely look at. Okay, anybody else? How to increase productivity of resources? Okay. Okay, so I think these are wonderful questions, and I'm sure I'm not the only person in this room today. We have learned people, experienced people, and I will invite their suggestions also to the questions being raised by all of you. So, Abhi, what is the language? Should I go in English, Hindi, Marathi? All three languages are okay for me.
English, Hindi is okay.
Okay.
Good.
चलेगा. So let me so before so this is going to be a conversation largely, और इसमें मैं एक 5 स्लाइड्स मुझे शेयर करने हैं which will just set the context. तो वो 5 स्लाइड के लिए तकरीबन 15-20 मिनट लगेंगे, and then we can have more questions. So you can also put your question in the chat, or you can ask once I finish those 5 slides, ताकि उसके ऊपर भी हमको कुछ अगर और एडिशनल इन्फॉर्मेशन चाहिए तो we can have that discussion. So I'm just sharing my PPT. Okay, let me just know if you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can see.
Without anything in between,
Yeah, absolutely clear.
okay, ठीक है. So what we are going to be doing, the topic is already known to you, optimizing HR budgets, and why we want to do it, so that we can build a workforce. जैसे सर ने अभी बोला कि कैसे मैं right talent लेके आऊँ, तो उसको कैसे बिल्ड करना है with proper budgeting, ताकि बिजनेस ग्रो हो. बिजनेस की जो ग्रोथ की रिक्वायरमेंट है, द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ द बिजनेस ग्रोथ नीड्स टू बी फुलफिल्ड, एंड ऑल्सो ensuring कि टैलेंट हमारे साथ टिका रहे. रिटेंशन कैसे करें हम उस टैलेंट का. So we need to retain our talent. So this is the main purpose with which we will look at these elements of HR budgeting. ये ऊपर का स्क्रीन क्यों आ रहा है साइड में? Let me just push this aside. Okay. Yeah. So let's start with the first slide. What is the purpose of HR budgeting? What should we look at when we say purpose of HR budgeting? So the first is HR budgeting क्या करता है? It gives a financial roadmap for managing workforce effectively. So when we in the beginning make this budget, we get to know, the top management comes to know कि what is the financial chunk that is going to be required for managing the entire workforce very effectively. Okay. So ये पूरा एक पिक्चर खड़ा कर देता है मैनेजमेंट के सामने, ताकि वो पूरा जो फाइनेंशियल अपना सेटअप करे फॉर द कमिंग ईयर, दे कैन मेक दिस चंक वेरी क्लियरली कि इतना बजट हमको उसके लिए अपने वर्कफोर्स के लिए करना है. सो दैट इज वन पर्पस. द सेकेंड पर्पस इज सेटिंग असाइड इनफ मनी फॉर वर्कफोर्स मैनेजमेंट. सो वंस दिस बजट हैज बीन पुट फॉरवर्ड, the top management looks at it and will set aside this money, so that जैसे जैसे पूरे साल में लगता जाएगा पैसा, वैसे वैसे ये पैसा प्रोवाइड या प्रोविजन उसकी हो, ताकि हमको कोई डिफिकल्टी ना आए इन यूजिंग दिस मनी और एग्जीक्यूटिंग आवर इनिशिएटिव्स. Third purpose would be to plan and allocate resources for all the necessary HR aspects. So when we are doing HR budgeting, what we are actually also doing is we are thinking together. Now एक याद रखना है कि HR budget सिर्फ HR department नहीं बनाता है. HR budget needs to be made by bringing in all the leaders of the company, because everybody is handling the workforce. So it is very important कि हम पूरे सब leaders को एक साथ लें, the HR department सब leaders को एक साथ लाएं, और हमारे वर्कफोर्स की क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है, हमको क्या रिक्रूट करने हैं, कितने लोग साल लगने वाले हैं, क्या नया टेक्नोलॉजी हम ला रहे हैं, क्या नए स्किल्स हमको बिल्ड करने हैं, क्या एंगेजमेंट एक्टिविटीज के लिए हमको काम करना है. तो इस तरह से हर एक पूरे लीडरशिप को साथ में लाना ज़रूरी है. And then when everybody is together, then we look at all the aspects that we want to spend throughout the year so that we can effectively use our workforce. We can effectively ensure that our workforce is there to achieve the business targets. So when we think of all these things in this budgeting process, so this budgeting process gives us that opportunity to think of all the aspects that we will need throughout the year, और उसके लिए हम लोग budget allocate करें, ताकि उसको फिर time to time we will allocate and get those things done. So this is one purpose of HR budgeting, so that we don't miss out any point. Control costs and prevent overspending. So HR budgeting, once we have done, we also have a process to review the HR budget, and we will allocate all the HR budget into every month. Every month में उसमें से कितना spend होना है, and if we are spending more than what we had budgeted, we will get a red flag कि we are going overboard with that cost, and we will look at how to prevent that overspending. So we also get indirect target, or we get direct targets for spending on different actions of workforce management. So in this way, we can control when we have budget, otherwise we will never know where we are going. The next would be support business growth with hiring and developing talent for future growth. This is one of the very key elements for HR budgeting, where we allocate funds for hiring the right people and ensuring that we put in efforts and invest in growing their talent, and so that we get the right skills for executing the work that they are supposed to do. So in this way, they will the support of talent or the workforce for business can be ensured. The next would be improve employee experience. Now we all know to retain talent is such a big challenge nowadays. The right people or the talented people are very tough to retain. And one of the ways that we can retain is to improve their experience. There could be different initiatives taken by giving them new responsibilities, by having employee engagement initiatives, by moving them in different roles, giving them training. So many other things can be done that will help improve employee experience, and employees would love to work with the company for many, many years. Another purpose of HR budgeting would be to ensure compliance. So all legal compliances that are required, we need to allocate fund for that, so that we can do those compliances within time, because we would have allocated that fund, kept that fund aside. So that is another purpose of HR budgeting. And last but not the least, HR budgeting also the purpose is to ensure that we boost productivity and performance through training, tools, incentives. So unless we allocate budgets for investing in trainings to increase performance, maybe getting new tools that can help boost productivity, provide the right incentives, rewards that can help boost productivity. So all this is the purpose of HR budgeting for any business. Let us look at, if that is the purpose, what are some of the objectives? So if HR budgeting is being done, what objectives should we achieve through HR budgeting? So the first objective that we would achieve would be that we have a very clear plan of the salaries that will be given out to the employees throughout the year, and that they remain within the financial limits that have been allocated under the heading of salaries for the HR to give it to the employees. So this is very clear plan is in place. The next objective would be to ensure that we are able to recruit and retain right talent. So HR budget should then allocate fund which will help us to recruit and retain right talent, which would be coming at an investment. The next objective of HR budgeting would be to invest in employee development. So whatever employee development is required, again, as I shared, all the leaders will come together. They will share how they want their employees to be developed. They would want some leadership development. They would want some technical skills to be developed. All these requirements put together would require some investment, and that investment should be put aside to develop the employees for business growth and achieving all the targets that the business has. The next objective this HR budgeting would achieve would be enhance employee engagement and satisfaction. So we would have allocated funds for employee engagement activities. That could be in the form of outbound program training programs, celebrating the different events throughout the year, celebrating birthdays, all those activities which make the employee feel really comfortable at the workplace, and there is a fun element. They enjoy coming to work. All those things really matter a lot for the employees to remain engaged and satisfied. Of course, this is only one part, but employee engagement and satisfaction will come from other elements also. Then another objective that this process aims to achieve is plan for unexpected costs. So irrespective of whatever budgets we have done or whatever thinking we have done or forecasted, there will be some unexpected costs, like maybe there are sudden resignations and you have to hire people, or there could be certain need that has come up during the year which would require some additional costs, and so many other things which we could not plan while budgeting. So keeping a small amount as a contingency for this kind of activities is important. Another objective that the budgeting should achieve is that it aligns, the HR strategy aligns with business goals. So whatever business goals need to be achieved, what are those investments that need to be done in the workforce that will help achieve those goals? It could be in terms of new hiring, it could be in terms of skill building, it could be in terms of ensuring we retain the talent. Such things would be part of the HR strategies, and it needs to align with what business outcomes are expected. And last but not the least, one of the objective of HR budgeting would be leverage technology for efficiency. So there are so many HR processes like payroll management or other ERPs systems like LMS, learning management systems could be there. Other software that ease the work of workforce management, those things would be required to be procured. So investment for that, funds need to be kept for that. Or existing processes, existing technology may need to be upgraded. उसके लिए funds हमको allocate करने होंगे. तो ये सब चीजें this HR budgeting should achieve. So these would be some of the broad objectives of HR budgeting. Then what is the benefit? इतना सब कर क्यों रहे हैं? इससे फायदा क्या हो रहा है हमको? We all have experienced the benefits whenever we have done HR budgeting. Let us look at them quickly. So when we have HR budgeting done properly and we are monitoring it well, we have prepared it well with a lot of thought. So the first benefit we get is, of course, ensure that salary and benefits are paid on time. This is such a crucial part for every employee. The second benefit we can get is it helps to hire the right people at the right time, because the funds have been allocated right in the beginning. Then HR department does not have to, look at or start the process of getting approvals for those funds because they would already be allocated. The next would be controlling costs. So it helps in controlling costs and prevent overspending, because there is a very close monitoring or review process in place which helps prevent the overspending. Another benefit would be improve employee satisfaction and retention. So the right spending done in the right areas, which help employees to feel satisfied, they feel engaged with the organization. So these are the benefits of allocating funds in the right aspects. Another benefit would be supports business growth. We are all aware of it. We are spending it on the right people, hiring the right people, keeping them engaged and retaining, and being prepared for the business growth. We are all here to grow our business, and employee or workforce management is going to be a crucial element in this business growth strategy. And for that, we need to plan and keep those funds, and definitely we will get those benefits if we have done it correctly. Another benefit we can get is we will be prepared for uncertain situations, because after allocating funds for all the aspects, we would have kept a small portion for these uncertainties. So it will not be a very big burden when it comes up. It will help in legal compliances on time because we have allocated the funds. It will boost employee productivity because we will be taking multiple actions that keep the employee engaged. We have funds for employee development, for the buying the right tools for the employee to use. So all that would be there, and that will help in improving employee productivity. We will use smarter technology, and using the right technology helps in seamless HR operations, which are very important for employee satisfaction also. Because if an employee has to fill in a lot of forms, which are hard copies, move around taking approvals, then that becomes a really a very painful process. But if things are online, there are dashboards for employees to apply for leaves, able to see his salary slips, is able to seek approval for different things. All these HR technologies are really helpful for employees to feel very comfortable for all the processes. That is one. And of course, HR at their own end needs to do a lot of analytics, needs to do a lot of work, which again needs to use the softwares which make it very user-friendly for the HR staff to work on the different aspects. So using technology is not an option now. And the more we use it, the better we can, manage our workforce. The next benefit, we have provided funds for our very clear financial planning for HR. So HR also gets to, plan its expenditure very clearly. This is another benefit of this budgeting process. It ensures HR operational efficiency because we can clearly see how those funds have been allocated, how they are being used, and what are the benefits we are getting, what are the anticipated benefits we are getting. Because when we are allocating funds, हमारा कोई ऑब्जेक्टिव है कि ये पैसा हम क्यों खर्च रहे हैं, क्या ट्रेनिंग्स हमारे लिए ज़रूरत है, ये सब चीज़ें जब हम लोग स्पेंड राइट ढंग से करेंगे, वी स्पेंड इट इन द राइट वे, we will get high operational efficiency. And last but not the least, HR, when it does work based on data, when it starts planning its finances so well, when it is supporting the business in its growth journey very effectively, HR as a department gains a lot of respect in the eyes of all the departments and in the top management. And the top management looks at it as a business partner. So this is another big advantage for HR department when they are budgeting and bringing out all this data very scientifically on the table for management to look at and approve. So all these are the benefits of HR budgeting. I'm sure there would be few more which you all would have experienced, and I would love to hear after this brief presentation. So now what should we budget for? We all are, most of you are aware of the budget items, but let me just list them out for our refresher or recollection. So one of the budget items are administration of HR. All the administration in the company that is done, maybe it could be gardens, it could be arranging tea, it could be taking care of housekeeping. So many other things are there in the administrative arena where we need to budget. So this is one element for HR budgeting. Another element for allocating fund is recruitment and onboarding. So recruitment would be all about, using the online portals like Naukri.com. So subscription charges, maybe hiring, getting agencies, external agencies, that would be a cost. So maybe some softwares we have to buy. And then the onboarding process would have maybe a welcome kit, and some other aspects that are we need to spend money on. All those expenses need to be budgeted for recruitment and onboarding. Then, of course, a big chunk that comes is for learning and development. Now here again, all the needs that have been expressed by the leaders of the different departments. and what the HR also feels or the top management feels as a learning and development element. So maybe management development programs, there could be outbound learning programs, there could be some skill development by external people. So all this cost generally comes when we are hiring or getting external trainers, or we are taking our employees to other locations out of the company. So all the cost needs to be budgeted here. Then compensation and benefits, there's no brainer. All our salaries, all the benefits in terms of mediclaim, telephone bills, all those things will come here. So we budget for all that. So while budgeting over here would be also, while we have the current employees, we also need to plan for people we will be hiring going forward based on the business growth requirements. तो वो सब भी इधर आ जाएगा compensation and benefits में. एंड कौन से महीने में रिक्रूट करने वाले हैं उस हिसाब से कितना सैलरी है वो साल में जाएगा उसका, वो सब इसमें कैलकुलेट करना है. Then employee engagement and retention, तो all employee engagement activities like celebrating birthdays or different events during the year, all those activities would have to be budgeted under this heading. You will have employee safety and well-being, could be health checkups, could be safety aspects within the organization. उसके लिए जो investment है, all those things would come here. HR technology, what we were just discussing. So fund keeping, allocating fund for new softwares or upgrading existing softwares, buying maybe some ERP, LMS, whatever related to managing HR or human or workforce management के लिए जो भी technology चाहिए, you whatever you are planning during the year. So this will also go phase by. So ये साल में coming year में हम लोग क्या invest करने वाले हैं technology में, that you can allocate some fund here. Then you can allocate fund for reward and recognition. This is one budget which generally gets missed out. So it's important we budget this, and क्या होता है कि once you budget something, you will have a tendency to use it. And reward and recognition sometimes gets a back seat. ठीक है करेंगे and we don't do enough of it. This is a small expenditure element, but it gives big results because it leads to employee engagement. People feel very happy when their right behaviors are recognized and rewarded. So a very important element needs to be kept in mind and budgeted for. Another budget item could be seminars or visit to exhibitions. This again, if you really allocate fund and plan, while allocating fund also, we should list out what are some of the seminars that are there in the year, which exhibitions are important, how many people we would like to send. So all those budget if we keep, so biggest the advantage of doing this budgeting exercise is also when you have all these heads, we also look at spending money in those areas, and those actions then actually get done. Otherwise, some of them, which are not very urgent, they get a backseat. So allocate those funds for seminars and exhibitions, visits. Compliance and legal, we have to do. So iska budgeting karna hai, iske liye allocate karo fund. Then contingency and reserves, keep a 5 to 10% or 5 to 7% of the total budget for contingency, so that kuch surprise element aa jaye. You can, budget for that. And of course, last but not the least, CSR spend. While there's a legal requirement of 2% of the profits, but may sometimes want to do more, and you can budget for that, and that can come here. So these are some broad headings which you can use to allocate your funds for the coming year 25-26 when you are making your HR budget. And now the last slide that I want to share is how do you go about doing this HR budget planning? So what is the process to do HR budget, making this HR budget? So सबसे पहले हम क्या करेंगे? Analyze your past HR expenditures. So maybe last 2-3 years में training and development पे कितना खर्चा हुआ, get that figure, और employee engagement activities में कितना किया. So all the headings that we have just seen in our previous slide, try to get the cost for the last 2 to 3 years for those elements. उसका हमको list बना लेना चाहिए. And then we can highlight any overspending trends. So ये last 2-3 साल में अगर दिख रहा है कि रिक्रूटमेंट पे बहुत ज़्यादा खर्चा हो रहा है, जितना बजट किया तो उससे ज़्यादा खर्चा हो रहा है, then possibly that is the requirement of the organization, and this year budgeting, instead of just doing 10% more or 15% more, you have to actually look at that figure कि कितना overspend हो रहा था उसमें, and is it really needed? So you may have to do an extra budget allocation this year for that, and vice versa. If something is not getting spent और आपने budget करके रखा है and there's a reason कि इसकी ज़रूरत नहीं है, then you can also reduce it both ways. This is the first step, getting the data of the last two to 3 years for all the headings. Then the next step would be, you can also look at what technologies you want to use this year for HR or workforce management, and identify those. Get some quotes from vendors, because you cannot judge कि कितना उसके लिए पैसा allocate करना है. तो कुछ vendors के quotes वगैरह ले लो उस softwares के लिए, and then allocate that specific amount for those technology upgrades, या AMC करना है कोई सॉफ्टवेयर का, या अगर आपको नया सॉफ्टवेयर ही कुछ खरीदना है तो allocate that fund for that. So उसके लिए quotations वगैरह मंगा के try to do a little more accurate calculation, so that you do not land up into trouble when you want to actually invest for that. So that is the second step you can do. The third step that you will do is implement cost saving measures. How you can do this? So one of the things that I have already told you, maybe something that has not been utilized in the last budgets, last 2 to 3 budget में हम लोग कुछ कुछ चीज़ें रखते कर रहे हैं लेकिन यूज़ नहीं हो रहा है, and we find कि उसका एक्चुअल ज़रूरत भी नहीं है, then you can remove that from that budget element, and so that way you can allocate some money in other areas which is required. Other could be negotiate vendor contracts, जो already हमारे HR के activities के लिए जो expenses हैं with vendors, how can we negotiate and bring those costs down? Say training and development, external trainers के बजाय can we develop internal trainers for those areas and do that training internally, which also helps to develop the employees and also helps to save cost. So there can be different ways of also saving cost in the workforce management. Then what is the fourth step? ये हमने ऑलरेडी थोड़ा सा देख लिया है कि ब्रेक डाउन द बजट कैटेगरीज. बजट कैटेगरीज मैंने प्रीवियस स्लाइड में आपको दिखाए हैं कि आई थिंक आई शोड यू ऑलमोस्ट अराउंड 12 कैटेगरीज. आप उसमें कुछ और ऐड कर सकते हैं ताकि वो कैटेगरीज के अगेंस्ट हम उसका डिटेलिंग करें. अभी रिक्रूटमेंट कॉस्ट हमको अगर ऐड करना है, आई वुड सजेस्ट जस्ट डोंट जस्ट टेक इनिशियल फिगर्स एंड ट्राई टू ऐड कॉस्ट और परसेंटेज उसका ऐड करें. थोड़ा इसका डिटेलिंग करना है. जो भी हेड हम अगर बजटिंग कर रहे हैं, सम लेवल ऑफ डिटेलिंग नीड्स टू बी डन कि कितने हमको हायर करने हैं, कितने हम एक्सटर्नल रिक्रूटर के थ्रू करेंगे, कितना पोर्टल के लिए पैसा जाएगा. एम्प्लॉय ट्रेनिंग्स में विच ट्रेनिंग डू वी आर वी प्लानिंग दिस ईयर. तो मे भी सारी ट्रेनिंग्स की लिस्टिंग ना हुई हो, लेकिन देर आर सम हाई लेवल ट्रेनिंग्स विच रिक्वायर हाई कॉस्ट, जैसे मैनेजमेंट डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम हो गया, या लीडरशिप डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम हो गया, या आउटबाउंड ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स हो गए. दीज रिक्वायर some additional or higher level of investment. तो these broad trainings का थोड़ा डिटेल कॉस्ट निकाल लेना ज़रूरी है. टेक्नोलॉजी इन्वेस्टमेंट के जैसे मैंने बोला कि उसके कोटेशंस मंगा लो. एम्प्लॉय बेनिफिट्स हम लोग क्या क्या दे रहे हैं उसका थोड़ा डिटेलिंग कर लो. सो एवरी टाइम वी मेक दिस बजट, दिस डिटेलिंग नीड्स टू बी लुक्ड एट. तो अगर पहले डिटेल करके रखा हुआ है तो इट विल बी ईजी फॉर यू टू डू इट दिस ईयर. बट यू हैव नॉट डन अ डिटेल ब्रेकअप ऑफ ऑल द हेड्स, देन this year we should do all the detailed breakup and make it as a one-time sheet, so that next year it becomes even easier to make a very accurate budget. Accuracy of the budget would be you can say performance parameter of this HR budgeting exercise, कि हम जब नेक्स्ट ईयर हम लोग देखें कि हमने क्या बजट किया और कितना यूज़ किया, कैसे इफेक्टिवली यूज़ किया, we should feel happy that we were very close to what we spent. The next element, the next step you can say in HR budgeting would be to forecast the workforce need. नया कमिंग ईयर में हमारे कितने वर्कफोर्स बढ़ने वाले हैं because of the growth strategy that we are putting in. So again, get all the HODs, all the leaders together so that they can give you all these inputs कि मुझे मेरे डिपार्टमेंट में अगर मुझे ये गोल अचीव करना है ये साल का, तो what is it that I will need. And maybe he will also share कि generally आपको HR can also come up with those analytics की general attrition level क्या है, so that उसके लिए भी budget कर पाएं. तो लार्जली नए हायर के लिए तो फोरकास्ट हमको करना पड़ेगा, और उसमें उस हिसाब से उसका लर्निंग नीड्स भी डालने पड़ेंगे और हायरिंग नीड्स भी डालने पड़ेंगे, तो उसके लिए पैसा एलोकेट करना है. देन द नेक्स्ट स्टेप यू विल डू इज communicate with stakeholders. So once you have got all the leaders together to get the inputs, फिर आपने बजट बनाया, you started allocating, और ये पूरा बजट एक बहुत सिंपल शीट में बना के फिर वो लीडर्स के सामने रखो, and also the top management look at it together, so that maybe किसी के कुछ आइडियाज आए कि ये एरिया में ऐसे लग रहा है कि ओवरऑल बजट कम है and we should keep a little more, या इसमें ज़्यादा लग रहा है, how can we reduce. So all that conversation can happen when this HR budget summary is presented to the leadership team, to the HODs of the department, and together, because it's a co-creation. HR budget cannot be done only by HR. It is a co-creation and agreement of all the stakeholders कि हमको इसको आगे लेके जाना है, क्योंकि एग्जीक्यूशन में तो सब स्टेकहोल्डर्स की जरूरत पड़ेगी, सब HODs की जरूरत पड़ेगी, लीडर्स की जरूरत पड़ेगी, बहुत जगह आए, तो उसके लिए सबका इन्वॉल्वमेंट एट दिस स्टेज इज वेरी क्रूशियल. देन द नेक्स्ट स्टेप वुड बी integrating HR and management goals. So scheduling a meeting with department heads, ये तो हमने ऑलरेडी कर लिया है, कि ये 7 स्टेप पे नहीं आएगा, इट विल कम ऑलमोस्ट मच अर्लियर, कि हम डिपार्टमेंट हेड्स को इन्वॉल्व करके उनके साथ पूरा डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं. And the last step that we would follow, no, not the last step, second last step would be creating a contingency fund. As I told you, 5 to 10% of the HR budget, we can reserve it for any unforeseen expenses that may come up. So keep that, and you also document while budgeting कि ये 5 से 10% हमने क्या सोच के रखा है, क्या सिनेरियोज हमने सोचे कि ऐसे हो सकता है. So when you actually look at the entire spend next year, to see whether anything that you had thought really came up, so you can continuously keep refining your budget for the subsequent years by seeing what was done and what was not done. And the last one, which is very key, important, is to set up a monitoring and reporting mechanism. So this should be done either monthly or quarterly, कि हमने ये 3 महीने के लिए या ये मंथ के लिए इतना बजट प्लान किया था, उसके अगेंस्ट कितना कंज्यूम हुआ. So this continuous monitoring needs to be done so that all the stakeholders are aware कि जो हमने jointly budget allocate किया था, how is it moving. And it will also prevent any overspending. When we do this monitoring, any overspending can be prevented by seeing any variance कहीं ऊपर शूट हो रहा होगा, तो अपने पास अगले महीने में या सब्सिक्वेंट मंथ्स में उसको थोड़ा सा कर्टेल करने का स्कोप रहेगा. सो monitoring continuously will be a very important aspect. So I can say these are the broad 9 steps to prepare your HR budget and have a very effective workforce planning, और workforce के साथ काम करना और workforce को strong बनाना, making them really effective to deliver the business goals. The whole purpose of HR budget planning is to have a very effective workforce for achieving the business goals. So this is all I wanted to share, and I would like to stop here and we can discuss. Anybody wants me to go back to certain slide, we can look at that. Or we can have a general discussion after I close this slide. Whatever is okay, we can go by that. Sorry, I took a little too much of time, but just wanted
bang on time, 6:10, I'm back.
Thank you.
If you can do a stop share, then let's ask.
Yeah, I will do that. I will stop share and then we can have a conversation.
So I think I have been very patiently listening like each one of you in the last 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And there are very, very important pieces that that Mr. Saini shared. Okay, I just want to add one thing to it and then take the questions.
Sure.
Okay, first question. If you have a pen and paper, all of you, just note down this question. While we are building and learning the steps of budgeting and Once you will start building the template, you will understand what he said. You will also understand all the 9 steps in detail, and team will help you in building that. But the first thing that you need to do, which I have noted for you today, is that there are 3 important stakeholders in a company. If you can write down, there are 3 important stakeholders in a company. Number 1, employees. Number 2, customers. And number 3, shareholders. In a smaller business, one person could be the founder member and the owner also. So shareholders might not be relevant. Okay. In that case, there can be partners also. There can be family members also. In some cases, it would be relevant as it is. In some cases, might not be relevant depending on the size. If you are a freelancer, you are the serva and the sole owner of everything. Yes, no? The first question before you build the budget of HR is to ask a question to yourself. Question number 1, are you happy? And I'm not talking about a monk-like question that happiness and all of that, huh? Which is primarily, do you enjoy coming to work? More straightforward question. Or are you facing irreconcilable issues with either of these 3 parties? I'm repeating. First question was, are you happy? And are you facing irreconcilable issues with any of these 3 parties, employees, customers, or shareholders? If the answer is no or partially yes, then you have something to address. Yes or no? And the second question is, in terms of employees, would you enthusiastically rehire everyone knowing what you know today? First question was, are you happy? And second is, would you enthusiastically rehire everyone in your team? Let's say you are the owner of the company, you have a 1,000 crore company, and you have a board directly working with you, or family members working with you. Would you enthusiastically rehire everyone? Answer is plain simple, yes or no. And this goes hand in hand with the question above. Includes not only employees, but existing customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders also. Yeah. And this is a very painful question to answer.
Sorry.
Before I take that question, Subodh, just park your question.
Fine.
It will break the flow otherwise. Before you brutally answer that question, this is a trigger point for you, whether you have to make any changes or not. What was the first question? If any one of you can tell me.
Are you happy?
And this is not a monk-like happiness question. This is a question that, are you enjoying coming to work? Because if the answer to the first question is no, there is some pain in your people strategy. Yes or no? A business works on 4 pillars: people, strategy, execution, and cash. And in Aarambh, you will be seeing all 4 pillars. Somebody talking about people, somebody talking about strategy, somebody talking about execution, somebody talking about cash or finance. Is that okay? Are these 4 interrelated with each other? Or you have to look at them in silo? Or they are interrelated with each other? If you have great people who are, as Pratipada Gewade was saying, disciplined,
Thank you.
and you have got them well trained, and they are exceptional contributors, but you don't have cash, what will you do? If you have got enough cash, but you're not able to get good people, you're not able to keep good people, and you're not able to grow them, what will you do? So all four are interrelated with each other. It's not that simple. Silo में हम people budget बना लें, sales budget बना लें, marketing budget बना लें. Is it possible? Yes, no. Guys, yes or no?
No.
Yeah, they are interlinked with each other. Yeah, and keeping that in mind, these two questions are the simplest questions that I have learned in the last 30 years. First, ask yourself, are you happy? If the answer is no or partially no, this could be some reason. Either my employees are not happy, or my customers are not happy, or my partners are not happy. It could be partners, could be suppliers also. The raw material suppliers also, the delivery suppliers also. It could be any part of the chain. Yes, no? And all three stakeholders have one thing in common. Hello? What is common in between employees, customers, and shareholders?
People.
Hello?
People.
People.
On a lighter note, once I was traveling from Delhi to Jaipur, I met with an accident, because of which I am handicapped. And that handicap is that I can not listen to people who are speaking at a low volume or multiple people speaking at the same time. So what have you just said? Just repeat that question. What is one thing in common?
People.
They are people. Even customers are human beings. Huh? Purchase guys comes across as they are the shrewdest guy on earth, but they're people. They're human beings. There is an emotion attached to it. Now, the second part is, while building the budget and the finance number to it, you have to prepare a strategy in Aarambh. And I will personally come to your table and ask you questions even after attending today's session and multiple sessions. When you'll start actually building the financial number, I will ask you, have you understood or prepared a strategy to get good people? 3 words, yaad rakhna. Our job is to get good people, keep good people, and grow good people. Get them, grow them, get them, keep them, grow them. That's the only job that we have. For a larger company, for a bigger company, if there are 10 functions in your company, do you have one-man army assigned to each of these functions? Yes, no. Let's say you have sales, marketing, stores, supply chain, many functions are there in your organization. Do you have one person mapped to that function? Yes, no. And when you look at that functional chart, ask yourself again, today, can you do an exercise for me before we end? Can you do an exercise? Please prepare one column where all your functions are written. In the second column, write down who's the person accountable. In the third column, write down all the leading indicators for that function, the input parameters. And in the fourth column, write down all the result or outcomes that you're expecting. Make a 4-column exercise. Can you do that? Hello, can you do that? I'm not talking about financial numbers. Can you do that? If you can prepare that, then just ask one question before you sleep today. Would you enthusiastically rehire each one of them? There are 3 warning signs for scale up in people strategy. 1, you may not have a person to manage a function, which means either he was not there or she was not there, or he has recently left. 1 warning sign. The second danger sign, you have a person there, but that person, your answer says partially yes or no there. Because as an owner, as a leader, you know. And third warning sign, which is the most dangerous sign, you have one name appearing multiple times against the functional head's name. And can I tell you one thing? That leader will die young. which means his name is appearing in sales head also, marketing head also, supply chain head also, and he's coming across as वो अहम ब्रह्मास्मि को उसने literally ले लिया है. Then that leader will die young. So before you understand numbers and the 9 steps which Mr. Saini talked about, do this exercise. Okay? And if your answer is partially yes, and we will address the next question which somebody had asked, is how to increase productivity of resources. Somebody has asked that question. Sir, Dr. Saini, here's a question for you. Somebody has asked this question, how to increase productivity of resources. Is there a cookie cut formula that you have?
Yeah.
Sorry to ask a difficult question, but that's my role today.
So a cookie or a formula, if you ask me, would be to, one is have the right KPIs placed for that person, make it very clear to that person what is expected out of them and how it would be measured, so that they also feel motivated to drive towards achieving those numbers. ये clear clarity लाना कि क्या expected है. So I think that is one part. And then supporting that person with all that he needs to perform that role, being with that person. So these are couple of things that come to the top of my mind, and there could be, of course, few more that can be done.
If you allow me, I'll add something to it.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So first of all, fantastic. What gets measured gets done is reinforced by the master facilitator today, Dr. Saini. I want to add something to it. While each one of us will come prepared in Aarambh with our revenue numbers. Okay. 2021 हमने कितना किया, 21, 22 कितना किया, 22, 23 कितना किया, 23, 24 कितना किया, 24, 25 कितना करेंगे. All of that is okay. While you look at that people, what are the key metrics that you will also measure on the people side? If you can tell me. In Aarambh, what are the 4 or 5 metrics that you will measure in 25-26 on the people side?
Happiness.
Which means you will have an employee satisfaction conducted in your organization. How many times in a year?
Depends. 2 times at least.
छोटी कंपनीज में इंडियन एमएसएमई ओनर्स में जब हमारा फाउंडर्स डे होता है तो हम खड़े होकर स्टेज से पूछ लेते हैं तुम लोग खुश हो? बिकॉज सबकी अपनी अपनी कोटरी होती है ना. But there is no in majority of the organization. Please don't misunderstand me, because you may be coming from very, very large organizations also. Okay. But I'm generally saying, making a sweeping statement, that in a smaller organization, there is no system in place to ask this question. Yes, no? So one is employee satisfaction you will measure. Learn from Mr. Saini and rest of the people there in the room on how to build an employee satisfaction in the organization. It is very important to note that people are important. Okay. What is the second metric that you will measure?
Involvement of the people.
How will you measure? Very difficult. You are picking up very, very subjective metric. I am talking about some 5 top objective metric which numbers can provide.
Discipline.
How will you measure discipline?
Performance of employees.
You can measure performance of employees. What else? Let's take this as 2. Everyone will have their own sequence. One of the metrics that I advise you, let me show you how companies measure. Okay, this you can find out. This you can find out from the website also. I'll give you the link. Okay. I used to work for a company called Bharti Airtel. Okay. This is how we used to measure. Oh my God. I think nobody likes me. That's the feeling that I'm getting. Yesterday also, nobody allowed me to share my screen. Today also, it is stopped. Guys, hello. Who in the team can help me? Can you allow? You are the co-host, Dr. Saini.
How do I do that? Can you just help me?
Sir, we are doing it, sir. Just a minute.
Guys, wake up. Good evening. People are live. You need to hurry up to help me. Okay, one of the metrics, while I share the screen, you can download it on the site. One of the metrics that we used to measure is we used to measure average revenue per employee. Why do we used to measure? If your revenue is going up, but your overheads are moving at a faster pace, you have got a problem. Yes or no? Hello? This is a financial exercise, na? He had mentioned as point number 1. One of the mentions that he said calculate all the costs. Yes or no? How do you calculate average revenue per employee? How do you calculate? In the financial statement, how do you calculate? Rohit, is the
Sir, you
slideshow on now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please allow next time in advance so that we don't waste time. Look at this number. Look at this sheet. This is what we used to measure. Do you see this? Is it visible?
Yes.
What are the things that we used to measure? Number of employees, their age analysis, average age of the employees, average revenue per employee per month, the engagement score, and total spend on trainings and total training per employee. Kumar sir, don't take the picture only. Go to airtel.in and download this report. There's a full page report. Good things to read. On this report, you will get, it is a published report. It will give you many, many aspects. This is the menu of that report. Okay. And we will learn many, many things which are relevant for us during Aarambh. But one of the metrics that I said, which is extremely important, is average revenue per employee. Why? If I had a operation in Malawi in Africa, can I compare that Malawi with Zambia? And Zambia with India? The answer is yes, I can definitely compare. And after comparison, I will be able to find out the good practices from one place to another. Now, for an Indian company, for a smaller company, it could be territory by territory. Yes, no? It could be year on year if it is a very small company, 10 people company, 20 people company. If my average revenue per employee is going continuously, what does that mean? Hello, what does that mean?
Inefficiencies.
There may be some productivity issues. Yes, no? And when you will dive deep into it, you will be able to understand it better. You'll be able to diagnose it better. So 5 metrics that I suppose. Count the number of employees, count the payroll, personal expense, and identify the number of hours of training that you are going to give to your employees. Fix up that in the budget. Calculate the average revenue per employee and calculate the average age of the company. Okay, 5 metrics. To start with, the rest when we'll meet, So another question that we have from our audience is how to inculcate discipline in the team.
Yeah, I think one short answer for that would be to walk the talk. One is we need to demonstrate that through our actions and reward the right behaviors. I think that will bring down the indiscipline. And of course, the third one would be to give the right feedback at the right time in a proper manner, which helps the person know what he needs to do rather than being very generic. So these three.
Absolutely. And he said something very powerful. Any behavior that is rewarded will get repeated. Yeah, any behavior that is rewarded will get repeated. So reward the right set of behaviors in the company. These are some of the software elements. Now it is already 6:30 in our watch. We will take 3 more questions. If you have any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer together. And then we end today's session. Atul, please go ahead. I also stopped Subodh in between. So Subodh, first I'll take Subodh's question and then I'll come to Atul Mishra.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Akshay. No, I was slightly confused on that part where you said if there for this thing, are you happy? And if there are some issues, and if really I'm not happy, then will you enthusiastically rehire or hire in this issue? I was slightly confused on that. Rehire.
Okay. So can I answer?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So when you are asking a question, are you happy? What I was looking at is that, is there a team member who disrupts everyone else?
Okay. If the answer is yes, then I will not hire
you
you.
need to do something about it. Yes or no?
Yeah. Right.
Now that answer could be one, have a conversation. That answer could be retrain. That answer could be reassign. Or that answer could be replace. Okay, this is one part of it. The
Correct.
second part of it is, I told you that you make a 4-column chart for all the functions, and you will see your team member's name if you are the senior leader of the organization. Now, if you are let's say in your case, you are the HR. So you will have to do it for the entire organization. Yes or no?
Yes.
And when you are meeting the functional heads, give them this 4-column chart and ask them to plot. Okay. And take a first level feedback that would they enthusiastically rehire everyone next year. Let's say in your case, in channel sales, Aniket Tondare is there.
Right.
And he has got a team of 5 people.
Right.
Okay. Directly working with him. What is his opinion about each one of them? Okay. So that HR not only knows on Excel, but behind that name and number, there is a human being.
Right.
And there is a context that you have. Yes or no?
Yes.
These 2 questions will help you dive deep into a very, very meaningful dialogue, or at times maybe a painful dialogue, because there are some leaders who are not happy with anyone in the organization except themselves. Okay. Now, I always use this example that I don't know where the heck my water bottle has gone, but if I can pick up something, let me pick up something. Just to explain, let me pick up this. Okay. What do you see?
A bottle.
And where is the neck of the bottle?
On the top.
So most of the time, bottlenecks are always at the top.
Yeah.
Now, with every function, you need to do this exercise and have a holistic view about your organization on which function requires retraining or which human being requires retraining, which function requires some amount of reassignment. That guy might not be good in, let's say, key accounts, but he can do key account servicing better. That might be that guy is very good and interested and enthusiastic in getting the order, but not very good in servicing that order. And depending on which role that you're talking about. If that human being can be consumed inside the organization, you have got a different strategy. And third case is obviously some tough decisions also has to be taken, because pruning is also required in gardening.
Correct.
Some people in their chase to appear very good across the organization, they give a long rope. And when they have this philosophy of giving a longer rope than desired, and it is not basis performance, but their personal choices, eventually it harms the organization. And then they lose both. They lose money also. They lose trust also. So these were 2 separate questions. Don't link that this is 1 and then 2.
Correct.
That's where the confusion is. Atul, over to you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
My question is related to training and development. What usually companies are doing, they organize a training and give it to the employee. But instead of doing that, can we assess the training while a discussion with the employees and their boss? What kind of trainings they want, and accordingly it should be organized?
Dr. Saini, over to you.
Yeah, in fact, that is the process to do it. You don't impose training. You actually talk. That's why when I talked in my slides, you need to get the leaders together to really understand what is their challenge in achieving the achieving the targets of the organization, and where are their people having the gaps in terms of skills or even in terms of number of employees going forward to achieve those gaps. So the training is always in consultation with the department, the managers. And once the managers have identified, you also get in touch with the employees to exactly know what they want during the training. So training design and training development is almost 70% of the training program, and the delivery generally is 30%. So a lot of work gets into actually getting those valid inputs from the participants, the employees and the HODs. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And apart from this, can we access some 4-5 trainings, and out of that, which we will have to give? How do we judge that in that case?
Again, for prioritizing, you'll have to again get back to the leaders. What are those priorities that they want? So suppose you go for a training need identification and they tell you 10 topics. So when they're telling 10 topics to be covered during the year, you ask them which are high priorities, what are medium priorities, and which are lower priorities. So you will in your annual calendar, take the high priorities definitely, keep the medium priorities as a second level, which sometimes may not get completed during the year for so many reasons and can overflow to the next year. So prioritizing also again with the department heads. Everywhere you need to partner with the leadership team or the department heads in this entire journey of training and development.
And a third question related to same. There are some paid trainings and there are some free training. So how we access that? Which paid training should have to give and which not?
I would invite your suggestion on that. What would you do? What is your suggestion on that?
So mostly free trainings are usually given, but if say some people require some paid training, so how to access or judge? So that I would like to know from you.
Yeah, so that is so again the budgeting part comes into play, and what is the need for the organization? As I told you, this process of budgeting is going to help you keep that fund allocated for those specific training needs, which are very essential, but they have to be paid for. So bring up that point and budget for that, so that the top, and you have to convince the top team along by taking the leaders along with you as to why we need that and how it is going to help the business and we want to spend for those. So इसका आपको पूरा business plan जैसा आपको तैयार करना पड़ेगा कि हमको ये क्यों चाहिए, and then they will definitely agree for it. I'm sure of that, the top team.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Atul, the day the seriousness comes on what is the training budget, with the same amount of intensity as the revenue budget, things will start happening. Most of the times, if you look at the balance sheet and P&L heads, some people only stop at revenue. Some people only stop at profit. Some people are extremely intelligent. They look at the cash flow also. But some people go deep into it on understanding who are the star A-class players in the organization who are making it happen. And then design their compensation, rewards, and training accordingly. Gone are the days when there was a fixed method of training from top to bottom given to people. Today, even in my son's school where he is going, every learner is on a different learning path. In fact, the teachers are told in his school not to share that you are better than this and better than that guy. Okay? It's a learner. I'm talking about learning environment. I'm not talking about organization's environment right now. Okay? And in designing any training calendar or the budget for it has 5 components. Okay? Free and paid is like very, very tactical question that you have asked. But before that, I think it is first of all audience centric. So as Dr. Saini has said, that's the process to be followed. And then from there, the needs emerge. Isn't it the same thing that you do in sales? There is a very famous saying in sales that prescription without diagnostic is malpractice. Yes or no? Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So who am I to identify what are your training needs? I don't know. Even if I design a 60-50% structured things that I consider are needed, you may still have a different need. Yes or no? Every leader of the organization needs to be coached to develop their own team members. And in this, the maximum weightage, which is a prescription kind of, should be given to the middle management. Why? Because they have got the most difficult job. They have to listen to the board every day. And they have to listen to their reportees also. Sir, कितना मीटिंग करते हो सर? आप हर वक्त मीटिंग के लिए बुलाते रहते हो सर. कभी सुबह मीटिंग, कभी दोपहर में मीटिंग, कभी शाम. एक तो उधर कंसोल करना है बेचारे को, और एक अपने मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर को और डायरेक्टर्स को देखना है. Very difficult job. Now this team remains under pressure throughout. And whether it is functional training, whether it is behavioral training, whether it is competency-based training, which kind of training, what kind of training, that diagnosis, as Dr. Saini said, needs to be done properly. It also depends on the kind of organization you are and at what journey you are in your evolution process. Okay. If you are a 5-member, 1 crore company and you are making 1 lakh rupee as profit out of 1 crore, what will you do? What will you spend? Yeah. But keeping that number in mind of the profit, some number has to be arrived, which has to be plowed back into training and development. I think first starting point is, Atul, you are a national, let's say, looking after national sales or a larger role. Look at your team. Before HR starts doing it, understand what their learning requirements are. Prepare at least a ballpark figure. Keep one thumb rule that everyone should get at least 52 hours of training, or equal to 1 month of payroll as thumb rule. And then work backwards how that money could be fully utilized. This is a thumb rule. We always calculate 13 months of salary while budgeting. 12 months of payroll. And let's say if somebody is getting 1 lakh rupees, his training investment should be, if you go to Boston Consulting, or let's say big 5 consulting companies, because they are knowledge workers, their training budget per person is very, very high. I have got friends who ask me every year that, sir, this year company has allocated 25 lakh rupees for my development. Where should I learn? What should I learn? The complete freedom is given to them. Okay. But I think also depends on the kind of revenue that they're making and the kind of P&L that they're making. If you're managing P&L of a lower value, then obviously that number will differ. But it is always, as Dr. Saini said, it is always training need identification and then work backwards. And if the training and development is considered to be free, I would say it also talks about who you are as a human being. I always feel that even if I attended a webinar, which is not costing me, there is some money that organization has already paid because the payroll is moving.
So,
yeah. Uma sir, you had raised your hand. Sorry.
If you allow me, I would like to add what Mr. Akshay
said. So Atul what I feel that there is no standard training syllabus for everyone. So he has given a very right example. First of all, you understand as a doctor what are the symptoms. Then you diagnose. Then you have to look for prescription. If it is a small disease, घर का medicine चलता है. If it is little more, go to RMP. You have to pay. If it is little more, you have to go to a super specialist. If it is surgery needed, you have to go. In this fashion, if you think what exactly you want for your training, you will understand. According to that, you plan your trainings. Over a period of time, what happens is that you can standardize your own training. As rightly sir said, that the organization is growing, you have seen very good all the phases of your business and business cycles. You understood all the problems of this one where we have to train. Then you can have it. See, in my organization, there is an onboarding process that is standardized total. We have a level 1 training program for each category. Separate capsules and modules are there. Like that, everywhere we have models, and these are not standardized, these are dynamic. Every year we will get new requirements and new needs. We will add the capsules to the particular module. And we have a corporate trainer, we have a corporate training house, but now and then when it is required, we will call for the experts, or else we will send the people like Mr. Srinivas is added into this program. So like that, we will pay them, and like that, we will make them train. It is an investment. HR is an investment, sir. Never ever treat HR as an expense. It's an investment. If you cut off your HR expenses, you are losing your revenue. Sorry, please, if I am wrong, please the experts can correct me. This is
Very
my
well said, very well
this
said.
is my
Thank
observation,
you
sir.
very much for
Yeah.
this is the
This is
part.
an asset, sir. This is one of the best assets. You might not have infrastructure, you might not have right product, you might not have right quality, but if you have right people, you can do wonders.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I don't say that all those are not required. If you have this, they are all possible. As he rightly said that if you don't have right people, whatever you have, you can't do whatever you want to do. This is my observation, sir. Sorry for the interruption and sorry for.
Not at all. This is the beauty of an environment is that everyone can contribute. And I'm extremely happy that we are creating a community where everyone is eager to support each other. That's our job. That's what our path is. That's what our mission is at School of Inspirational Leadership. Any question? So if nobody has a question, let me ask a question. Okay. Okay, I had written certain questions that I wanted to ask. Sir, while building the budget in Aarambh, will we get guidance on building the training budget also?
Yeah, so as Uma, the gentleman who just now shared, that will purely depend on the requirement of the organization, because what kind of trainings they would be wanting for the organization, what comes out from that only, then you can add that budget. So the process of collecting, if they can come with ready with some training need identified, and I think then we can help. Because it would require what we need to give during the year.
Any advice as an HR practitioner that we all should follow?
For training, budgeting?
Or for taking care of our people?
For?
Overall. Any last word advice from your side? How should we take care of our people? What has been your philosophy around it?
Yeah, so if I was to answer that question, giving people challenging environment, because everybody comes to do good work, and because they're spending a crucial part of their life in the organization. And the more challenges we give them, the more we design those challenges well for them, they would really love to work. And they will not have time to think of anything else if you can give them good challenges. Yeah, so I think designing the work for our employees is very important, and supporting them to do that work.
Any advice for leaders that we should not be doing?
One thing we should not be doing is keeping work to ourselves and avoiding delegation. So developing our people through delegation is very crucial, which also keeps them engaged and is a path for their growth. So spending time with the employees and being with them, making them feel that the leaders are there with them is really crucial, is what I would say.
So that's where we come to an end. I would like to read a story for you or a poem for you, okay, which I came prepared with. Let me read that poem.
I think there's one hand raised still. Is there a question?
Dharmesh, please go ahead.
When we give challenge, should we reward them? I mean, should we, design reward also together, or just a challenge?
Yes. All achievements will be celebrated. Need not be through material. It could be recognizing them in a group, and find opportunities to recognize people. I think you brought out a very valid point. And leaders need to get into the habit of appreciating people. Out of the 5 times that they give feedback to the people, 4 times should be appreciating. 1 could be a constructive feedback for improvement.
Okay.
So when the employee sees a leader coming towards him, he should feel कि ये मेरे को appreciate करने आ रहा है. उसको ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि ये मेरे को correct करने आ रहा है. So leaders के लिए this is a very, very important element.
Is there a tool which कि जो हर employee को self encourage करता है, जैसे कि gamification हो, मतलब is there a way? Meaning today I on the score I done well actually, so I'm happy myself. I'm happy. I mean,
take them to Himachal.
Okay.
Give them a dose of and they'll be happy.
कुंभ लेके चलते हैं उनको.
I don't know how productive they are, but they'll be happy.
Okay.
Can I answer, Dharmesh?
Yes, please.
You are the tool. If you are the leader of the organization,
Mm-hmm.
you are the tool to motivate them,
Mm-hmm.
create a culture.
Mm-hmm.
By that, everybody, you lead your life with example, as an example. Certainly, people will get encouraged. Don't try to motivate self. They themselves will get motivated.
Mm-hmm.
If you are motivated and if you are showing them that you are motivated, you doesn't mean that a person, the company,
Mm-hmm.
career path, career growth, engagement, so many issues are there. I don't want to go into detail of it.
Mm-hmm.
You are the real tool to see the motivation in your employees. This is what I feel.
Super. Thank you.
Okay, so I wanted to read out a poem to answer this question. And the question is, it says, everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. Okay. This is a little story about 4 people named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. Okay. There was an important job to be done and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought that anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. And it ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. Okay. And I wanted to end this evening by saying that if we build a culture of accountability, if we build an organization where people feel like coming, which is going back to the first question, are you happy? Do they feel like coming back to work? Is the question that you need to keep on asking yourself, because if they don't feel like coming to work, the balls will drop, the numbers will not be achieved, people will feel humiliated in meetings and conversations. And as Dr. Saini says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Okay. It will become the biggest roadblock in scaling up a company. Thank you everyone for joining. God bless each one of you. May you all become a multi-million-dollar money magnet and take care of your people, all the people, friends, family, employees, customers, and shareholders, and be a great human being on who you really want to be. Enjoy yourself. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Seth, for your wonderful inputs. It was wonderful.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saini. I hope all of you enjoyed this session, and we look forward to the next session. Bye-bye. We'll keep on serving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.